Hi, it's Dave Oates from FinderMonkey and Joanna North Associates. I wanted to talk this week about a case we've had recently, which highlights a really sort of common thing that we deal with when we're looking for birth mums of adoptive adults. We had a case where a client came to us, born in the late 60s, wanted to know if his birth mum was still alive and if we could trace her. We were able to do that, trace her to an address. So we then wrote to her on his behalf to try and establish some contact with her. Our initial letters don't say much about what it's regarding. We're quite vague, deliberately so, because we understand the sensitivities of contacting birth relatives of adopted adults, because often the fact that they exist, the fact there's an adopted child in the family history, many people won't know about, so we were sensitive to that when we were writing to people. We'd sent our first letter, no response came. We sent a follow-up letter just to ensure that the first letter's got there, but in that second letter we also enclosed a stamped addressed envelope and a little form that people can just tick a box and return, and it just helps us understand perhaps why somebody might be not be responding. And one of the boxes that people can tick, it basically says, I think I know what this is about, but I'm not going to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you about it, essentially. So we got this reform back in this case, and it said that they knew what it was about but weren't in a position to discuss it with us. So we had to obviously then report that back to our client. There's not much more we can do, because we don't want to contact people when they've obviously made the situation clear, even though we knew very little and understand very little. Our experience is often that we kind of have a good inkling as to why somebody might not be able to talk to us about it. And in this case, fortunately, a few weeks later, the same lady, the birth mum, phoned us up, and we're obviously very grateful that she was brave enough to do that. And she explained to us that how she'd felt when she first got our letter. And you have to think she'd been nearly 50 odd years since she'd given a child up for adoption. She'd gone on to get married, have other children. None of these people knew about our client's existence, and she was just quite scared and worried. She didn't know what to do, so she didn't do anything, essentially didn't respond to us other than sending the letter back. But obviously, even after doing that, I'd continued to think about this, and it'd been on her mind, to the point where she decided to tell her other children. That's a really massive thing for people to do, because even though now as a society today we are far more understanding of adoption and perhaps the circumstances, how they might have been different in the 60s and at times before that, but people, it's the longer you've kept a secret of that nature, the harder it becomes to tell, even though people are far more understanding. So it's still a very, very difficult thing to do, and so we have a great deal of sympathy for birth mums in that situation, and that is usually the reason if there isn't contact when we contact a birth mum. That's usually the reason. I'd say 9 times out of 10 that would be the explanation. I hope you can hear me over the traffic noise. So it's really important to understand that when you're contacting a birth mum, why it's important to use an intermediary in the first place, because it can take time, and we're still not in a position, even with this case, to put our client in any kind of contact with birth mum, but we are in a position to be able to work with her and with our client to try and get to the point where perhaps something might happen, something further might happen. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that, because it's something that we see quite a lot, and I hope that people who've perhaps been affected by adoption this might be helpful to them in some way. But thanks for watching. If you've got any questions around that stuff, drop us an email or give us a call, let us know. You'll also be interested that we are starting an adult adoption support group shortly, so we'll be putting some information out about that in the near future. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.